Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week we're discussing why track and field athletes at the Olympics are all complete idiots and totally unprofessional.
We also have some Olympic news, more Zwift news, we've got the neatest bike lock I've ever seen, a new ceramic coating for your bike, and some more custom painted bikes.
So on to our main talking point then. Track and field athletes, they've got it all wrong and are complete idiots.
I don't know, can you say that?
Yes, we can say that because Professor Bert Blocken, right, from Heriot-Watt University, he's a renowned professor in the field of aerodynamics and engineering who has worked with Jumbo-Visma, optimising them for time trials, and also on Kipchoge's sub-2 hour marathon attempt. He was a consultant on that. And he's done countless other studies that you will have probably seen us talk about in the past to do with the way you save energy in a peloton or in a pace line and investigating the aerodynamics of these systems.
Yeah.
Well, now he's been doing research into track and field athletes, particularly sprinters, 100-metre sprinters and long jumpers, to see what the effects of aerodynamics are in those events, and the results are astonishing.
Yeah, now if you are cyclists like us, or a regular GCN Tech viewer, or just an armchair expert sat there critiquing the Olympics, some of the stuff we're about to discuss might feel like it's pretty obvious, but apparently not to some of the track and field athletes.
Yeah, I think like watching the track and field, you think that the athletes are absolutely incredible. Like the amount of training they put in and how physically gifted. Yeah, but that's the thing, the speeds are so quick. And anyone who's a cyclist who's used to understands aero, you're like, if they're moving that quick and the winning margins are that small, why are they wearing like loose-fitting clothing?
Yeah, it's almost like the first thing that springs to my mind, and we can't be the only people, right?
Yeah.
But then people think maybe aerodynamics in running doesn't matter that much. Well, Bert and his team have conducted some studies at Heriot-Watt University to try to find out if things like baggy clothing, loose hair makes a big difference to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the results are, as I said, like pretty astonishing. So the results have shown that if you have long curly hair, and they tested a bunch of different clothing and a bunch of different hairstyles. If you have long curly hair, that can increase the drag of an athlete up to 8.7% in both the long jump and the 100-metre sprint.
Well, that's kind of crazy, right?
That's a lot, yeah. And then wearing loose-fitting clothing, like a top or loose-fitting shorts as well, also increases drag by more than 23% in both the long jump and the 100-metre sprint. And this is compared to wearing tight-fitting clothes. And you look at like even Usain Bolt, he wore sort of lycra shorts often, but he had like a very loose vest on and a loose number flapping around as well.
Yeah, the numbers are something. I mean, I've got major problems with numbers, if I'm honest, in cycling as well. Yeah. The fact that we're still pinning numbers onto high-tech clothing that costs thousands of pounds and dollars with safety pins still blows my mind.
It's nuts, isn't it? Like, surely there's a better solution to this.
Also, actually, it's worth pointing out that, I kind of meant to say this earlier, that this study was conducted in a winter using mannequins in lots of different positions.
Yes, but also they did CFD studies as well on computers, and they also did other calculations and things to build in a much sort of bigger picture of everything that's going on. 10 different hairstyles, 20 different clothing styles and different positions as well. And according to Professor Bert Blocken, these differences can be decisive in high stakes sporting events where, the winning margin, I mean, if you look at the 100 metres men's final,
yeah, that was insane.
The winning margin is 1,000th of a second. And what he's saying is that these differences in equipment, if they embraced it, would make tenths of a second difference.
Well, that's like the difference of maybe being like fourth or winning.
No, it's the difference between being last or winning in the men's 100 metres final.
Like, I don't want to be like a armchair expert, but I feel like I'm going to sound like it when I say it, but surely it's not possible for people to be completely overlooking this. Imagine spending 4 years between Olympic cycles building up and training for something and then going, well, I could have just worn like a cycling skin suit and gone faster.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in the long jump, they worked out that the difference between wearing optimum sort of kit and less optimum kit would be a distance of 10 centimetres, which is, again, the distance between either meddling or not meddling.
Yeah.
You know, this is mind-blowing. I think, you know, it's really interesting. And also I should point out the research did focus just purely on females.
Yeah.
Because they said men tend to have shorter hair. So it's worse for the women, actually.
Yeah.
Now, if you look in the 100 metres women's final...
loads of different hairstyles, to be fair.
Yes. So, Julian Alfred, amazing win there for St. Lucia, their first ever medal, amazing. But the two Americans who finished behind her had really long hair, big hair.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's the difference between you winning and losing.
Well, I think it's also something that's occurred to me having watched the Olympics recently is that a lot of, certainly in the 100-metre running event, a lot of it is all about like creating and building up this hype and all around your personality and like creating like an icon and an image. And I think a proportion of your performance comes from that confidence as well. So I guess that's maybe partly why we're seeing these like crazy hairstyles and stuff. But also, if it has been proven to be slightly slower, it seems crazy to give that away.
Yeah, I think like this. I mean, the difference they from the actual research, they said it was 0.7 of a second in 100 meters. 0.7 of a second, and you're looking at 1,000th of a second is the winning margin in the men's. Yeah. So it's like 0.7 is massive in an event like that.
I think I was going to say I feel like it could sort of boil down to like a cultural shift within the sport.
I think it is a cultural thing. So there's a few things to unpick here. So the first thing is why aren't they doing it? Because the information is out there. This was published before the Olympics, this study, and you said you'd seen studies published further back than that.
Whilst I was doing a little bit of research about this subject, because it's something that you initially said you wanted to discuss, I thought, well, I better get clued up on it. A study conducted in the 80s suggested that running at about 40 kilometres an hour, aerodynamic drag of a runner is around 10%, whereas on a cyclist, he's looking at about 80%. But the same study also said that reducing your aerodynamic drag as a runner by 2% could save you 0.01 seconds. So even like the smallest margin of improvement, so it's going to make a big difference.
It's not as important as it is in cycling, but it is still important. And like I said, there are people who have paid attention to this in the past. The most notable example is Cathy Freeman at the Sydney Games, who won gold in the 400 metres, and she was wearing the Nike speed suit thing.
Like all in one, and it had a hood. All it was like a face opening.
Yeah.
I watched the video back, previous to us talking about this, and it's like night and day, her equipment and setup to like everyone else's.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely contributed to her victory there.
Yeah.
And the suit was actually a lot more sophisticated than I think a lot of people realise. They'd done a load of wind tunnel optimisation of it. They'd used different fabrics on different limbs and parts of the suit because the different body parts move through the air at different speeds and differently because your legs are sort of moving faster through the air because they're moving as well.
This is all the sort of stuff that I feel like people should be doing now.
I mean, what, like, anyway. So the problem was, one of the reasons why it wasn't widespread adopted after she did it was because one of the things is apparently to suffer with the heat. Yeah. I feel this is something that you need to overcome. Yeah. And I think in a 400 metres you could get away with it.
Yeah.
Also, that's coming from me sort of having some rudimentary knowledge about cooling and heat within the body.
It's off the cuff.
No, I do feel like you could get away with it in that because the body's not going to heat up super quick. In the 1500 metres, like it could be detrimental.
400 metres is a sub 1 minute event, right?
And the 100 metres, like not at all. There are challenges that you don't want to impede movement and things like this that engineers would have to overcome and clothing designers would have to overcome. But these are all solvable problems. And there's definitely things that you could do to be more optimal than what they're currently using. And I think considering that the information is out there at the moment already and the research has been done, to not use this is inexcusable. When that is your job and that is your sole raison d'etre, like why are you not?
I mean, they are some pretty harsh words, but no, I think it's there. That I think it's fair to say.
Well, I did. Yeah. I spoke to a friend of mine who has raced in the Olympics in track and field. A guy called Conrad Williams, and he was 400 metre runner.
Yeah,
and he's now a coach. And I was like, why are they not using this stuff? And he said, and I can relate to this because I feel that as cyclists were there like 10 years ago.
I'm wondering what's coming next.
No, he was just like, because if you turned up, rocked up with all that gear and you didn't win, you look like a massive knobhead. And that was, that's basically it.
Yeah, I feel like people are hyping themselves up so much, but if it goes wrong anyway, you kind of look like a bit of a, I'm going to say joker in a polite term.
I tell you, he's going to look like more of a prat, and that's if someone gets aero and beats Noah Lyles with all the chat that he gives.
Yeah, I mean, fair play.
I mean, we had this in cycling though, because I remember turning up to a road race like, what would it have been like 8 years ago?
Yeah,
and.
Were you Mr. Aero?
I was Captain Aero.
Did people laugh at you?
Yes.
Did you win?
People bullied me. People were mean to me on the start line. You do realise this is a race, not a road race, not a time trial.
Yeah.
It was a time trial for me, and that's why I won.
That's fair point. There's something that's...
And then no one was laughing afterwards. But it took a while. Like, I remember, I mean, like also, you go back 10 years.
Team Sky as well.
Well, Dan Bigham was rocking up to criteriums with massive deep wheels and skin suits and aero helmets with visors, and people were laughing at him.
Well, Dan Bigham raced the same kind of races that I did in the same kind of era, and we did all laugh at him. But turns out
now everyone does everything that he did.
Turns out who's laughing now because Dan Bigham's at the Olympics. And here I am talking about it. Right, there's one thing I do want to highlight that we could potentially have overlooked, and I don't know if this is relevant at all, but I wonder if there's any rulings around the equipment that you can use in 100-metre running events. Is there any regulations around it, or is it just free choice?
If you wanted to put massive, huge aero socks on,
yeah, you could.
You could.
Well, I mean, some sports are already focused on tight-fitting aerodynamic clothing, aren't they? Like ice skaters, the speed skaters, ski jumpers, that kind of stuff. One area I do want to point out is the pole vault in the Olympics. There was an unfortunate incident involving a French athlete who, even though he had tight-fitting clothing to optimise his performance, it all went ever so slightly wrong when his gentleman parts caught the pole and knocked it off. There you go. Clothing can't fix every problem, can it?
I don't think that's a problem. Well, depends on your perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe not a problem after the Olympics are done.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, that's our thoughts on the whole subject. You can share your thoughts on the subject on the comment section down below. And as always, we'll pick out some of the best comments and read them out next week.
Yeah.
It's now time for Hot and Spicy Tech, and I'm going to kick things off this week, the same as I did last week, with a little bit of chat about Olympic tech. Very on point, I think you can agree. So I want to talk about the men's and women's road race first, because that was last weekend. Both were incredible races to watch. Both won with individuals, basically. So that's why I wanted to highlight this, with kind of like time trial style efforts, having just sort of laughed at athletics for not really optimising aerodynamics. I feel like cyclists have got it dialed in. Remco won and Kristen Faulkner also won, both with dialed in positions, but interestingly, riding what you would probably describe as like an all-rounder bike rather than a full-blown aero bike.
Yeah, was a lumpy course though.
Yeah, lumpy course. You wanted to talk about some of the tech in the track events as well, is that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, at the time of making this, like, recording, like, we're only a couple of days into the track events, and it's only day 2, actually.
Yeah.
But already, we saw a dominant display by GB on the first night. And I think when the winning margins are really small on track.
Tiny.
And again, like, you can see that winning margin can be attributed to tech.
Yeah.
Like, as much as you want to go, oh yeah, like, we're British, the British are the best. It, like, being realistic about it, there's a lot of strong riders there from other nations as well. But then you look at some of the nations are using equipment that they used in Tokyo. It's pretty much the same equipment. Yeah,
it does feel like GB have rolled out like all the party tricks.
Well, they always do that.
Yeah.
They hold it back, and then they have this like upgrade package that comes in for the Olympics, and it's a good way to do it because psychologically it puts you in a really good mental space that you've got this. You were good before, now you're going to be even better because you've got the latest toys. But we've spoken about a couple of weeks ago the modifications to the Hope Lotus bike, with the seat post, and also to the serrations on the fork, the sort of vortex generators, the tubercles, if you like, things like that. But again, like, that bike's been modified to go even faster. The Italian Pinarello Bolide,
updated.
Well, no, it's pretty much the track one. Is oh no, they're on the updated one because it's They've got the updated one.
One thing that I did want to point out was, I think there was a couple of weeks ago you did the show about the most expensive track bikes, ranked expensive to cheapest. The Japan bike, so was that one of the most expensive or the most expensive?
Well, that was the most expensive we found. It was $100,000, that Torre bike. What was bizarre was they had the bike on as $100,000, like if you wanted to buy it. But then they put on like £100 extensions, just round pole extensions that weren't even cut to length on some of the bikes.
And then am I right that in the men's team pursuit yesterday they were 10 seconds down?
Yes.
Okay.
In the qualifying.
The bike maybe not quite paying off there.
Not quite worth $100,000. But yeah, the amount of money that's spent on these things is astonishing.
Oh, it's genuinely insane.
Like, it's huge money. And we always get around to this debate of pricing people out. But other interesting tech details are
tyres.
Well, tyres is an interesting one. So the GB guys are running, and girls, are running clinchers rather than tubulars.
Well, tubulars is pretty much what historically everyone's used, and even still, I think most teams and nations are using tubulars.
And they look like they're running continental 25mm clinchers rather than the sort of 23mm Vittoria Pista tubulars, which you see most of the teams using with the tan sidewall on, noticeably narrower. Now, this is intriguing from a tech perspective because with a tubular tyre you can pump it up much higher to much higher pressures, and on a velodrome you want that high pressure because the rolling resistance drops, it goes lower, and it's a smooth surface. You're not worried about bumps and stuff. So you just bang them up to like 160 psi or more.
Yeah.
But so you think, well, that's counterintuitive then. Why are GB using clincher tyres that they can't pump up maybe beyond 100 psi? And so there is a rolling resistance penalty for that. However, if you look at for example, the men's team pursuit, they're looking to average like 70k an hour, right?
Speeds are crazy.
They're travelling at phenomenal speed. And at those ridiculous speeds, aero trumps the slight penalty in rolling resistance. And apparently that clincher tyre is superior in aerodynamics.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, whether it's like the tread pattern that's on it, which is a thing actually on those Continental tyres, but also just that tyre wheel interface.
It's interesting. Now, this sort of tech kind of stuff, especially in the GB men's team pursuit team, a lot of it comes from the thinking of Dan Bigham, right? So some of the research he's conducted. Now, speaking of him, for those of you who don't know, Dan has been a performance engineer at Team Ineos for a number of years now, and it's just been announced that he's going to be, has or will be leaving the team, which I think is like quite interesting is what I want to say, because I don't know the reasons behind this. Perhaps you could maybe speculate this was because the team haven't been implementing some of the ideas he's had, but I certainly don't know that. What I do think is going to be interesting is to see maybe what team or where he ends up working in the future to see what he can achieve with who he works with.
So I know some of that, I'm not going to say.
You can tell me after the show.
Tell you after the show.
Yeah, off camera, top secret.
And I know where he's going.
No, well, I don't know this right now, so I'm excited to find out.
I can't. It's a secret. I'm not allowed to say.
All right, it's a secret. We'll tell you next week. We definitely won't. Right, Zwift news next, because the Tour de France fam Avec Zwift is back, or the TDF AZ for short. Right, the race dates, it starts on the 12th and runs to the 18th of August. And to mark the event, get this right, Zwift are giving away 2 custom-painted Watch the Femmes Tour custom-painted bikes, basically.
That's a good prize, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is super cool. So you can win the Zwift bike, and it's been custom-painted in collaboration with Fat Creations. So it's like got absolutely boss paint job on it. There's a couple of ways to enter. Complete the Femmes final mission in Zwift. So you basically have to climb the elevation of Alpe d'Huez in Zwift in a month. Or you can just comment and tag your friend on Zwift's Watch the Femmes Instagram post on 1st of August, which was a couple of days back.
I just remembered something else about the Olympics I want to quickly point out.
Yeah, go on.
So just the attention to detail, particularly on Team GB.
Yeah.
Right? I noticed when they were doing the sprint, the women's sprint, where we won gold in the team sprint, the lead rider, which goes out the gate, had the Hope Lotus bike, but with a narrow blade fork, and then the other 2 trailing riders had the wide fork.
Oh, I did notice this, and sure, I just completely passed me by. I just went, oh, that's weird, they don't have the same thing.
Well, it's like other things, like they all have a specific helmet as well. Like it's all, whereas some teams just all use blanket the same helmet.
There's a couple of different nations I've spotted doing this, actually, but yeah, I think broadly speaking, you could say nations are just using one setup and hoping that it works for everybody.
It's like, it must be, they've probably tested it and found that like when that first rider's accelerating, the narrower fork is more beneficial, and then when you're up to speed, the wider one comes into its own. It's something. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Next up,
well, I haven't finished talking about Zwift yet, but that's all right. You cut in.
I thought you were done with Zwift.
No. Zwift Racing League is kicking off soon. I know it feels like we should still be in summer, but it's getting to indoor racing season. Basically, it's one of the biggest indoor racing leagues out there. So if you want to get involved, get yourself signed up. 35,000 people took part last year. And the first round of the Zwift Racing League runs 10th of September to 5th of October. And then there's other rounds dotted throughout the back end of the year. So get involved. I love a bit of Zwift racing.
Oh, no.
Next up in Hot Tech.
Oh, yeah, it's a quick one.
Yeah.
Right. What do I always bang on about when I'm not banging on about chain waxing?
Waxing someone else.
Well, not waxing.
Oh, actually,
Wax is dead.
Yeah. Quite literally.
That's it. So,
I even lined you up for that, didn't I?
I know, you did, yeah.
Completely unintentionally.
I'm going to open this. So what this is, it's from Wax is Dead. We've shown them on the channel before. They're another company that make like automotive car cleaning products and ceramic coating products for cars. And they've now come out with a bike ceramic coating kit, similar to G-Technic that we've shown you before.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you've made a video covering like the detailed process before.
So I've just, it's only just come out this, but it's a similar sort of deal where you got your ceramic coat in there. It's
like a magic little bottle of liquid.
Yeah, that you have to then clean the frame, prep it, and then apply it on, and you make your bike super hydrophobic. It's good to see more companies just doing this kind of thing. Because I'm a big fan of it. I just think it helps keep your bike cleaner.
I know for a fact that you are a mega nerd and you do this on every single new bike you get, because seemingly you get a new bike every week, it appears.
It's a hard life, yeah.
I
do like take care of them. I am mad into the.
It's true, because anytime it does rain and you've ridden into work, I can see how like all the water's beaded up on your bike.
Perfect beading.
Yeah, it looks
Love
great.
It.
Okay, going from crazy high-tech stuff to something a little bit more basic and for everyone's needs, regardless of what bike you've got. I actually saw one of the coolest bike locks that I've seen for a while, right?
Oh, yeah?
I got served this as an ad on Instagram, actually, and I thought, do you know what? That's brilliant.
They've targeted the right person.
They've targeted the right person. Maybe it was all the talk from Sa and I last week about commuting and locking bikes up, like the algorithms listen in on us. Tell me one of the most frustrating things about if you have to carry a bike lock on your bike.
It weighs loads and it's bulky. Where'd you put it?
Brilliant. I didn't even line you up for that. I'll tell you in advance. Right. The lock I saw is super small and neat, and it goes inside. It's a cable lock. It goes inside the handlebar, and then it like clicks into a special bar end plug. So basically, you can't tell that you've got a lock with you. And then when you want your lock, bish bash bosh, lock it out of the bar end plug, whip that bad boy out, lock it up.
So this doesn't sound like it's a lock for leaving your Pinarello Dogma locked up at King's Cross Station for a week.
No, it's like a cafe style
cafe lock.
Yeah, it's to stop a opportunist thief just literally running off with your £10,000 bike, or £100 bike, because both need looking after.
Yeah,
it's just over £50 it costs, 65 centimeters long. It weighs 50 grams.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Bad news though. It appears to be sold out on their website
already.
Yeah.
Great. There you go. Right.
Last week, I just want to wrap up Hot Tech. Last week I said about a Boss new Canyon bike that Mathieu van der Poel had, and Kasia Niewiadoma as well. I couldn't show it last week, but if you're watching the men's and women's Olympic road race, which everybody should have done, you'd have been able to see it. Now we can finally show you a picture. So here it is. There you go. Right, more Hot Tech next week.
It's time now for comments of the week. Comments that you've been leaving under videos on the Tech channel over the last week. First up, right, we've got Corbyn's Bum.
Yeah.
Who, under last week's show where you spoke about commuting, he said, love the banter on commuting. I 100% agree with the notion that the best bike for any situation / circumstance is the one you actually use. The blockages to commuting on a bike are not to do with bike selection, but are more about faffing, time to get ready, infrastructure, access to uninterrupted and or segregated cycleways, accommodation. Can I have a shower at work? Where can I store my bike while I'm at work? Can I keep spare clothes, towel, etc. at work? Maybe GCN can show us some businesses that encourage and accommodate commuting via bike successfully.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with all of that. That's really good.
Yeah, I do. But do you know what? I think that town centres and city centres still haven't solved the problem of like where you can actually leave a nice bike. So if you want to use a bike to go to the shops, you have to have like either a really crap bike that no one would ever want to steal. That's probably worth less than £200.
Well, you need one of those handlebar locks I spoke about.
Yeah, well, you need like really good lock. Usually your locks end up costing more than the bike that you've got.
Yeah.
And then, you need, or the only bike that probably really solves it is a folding bike like a Brompton.
Take it with you then.
Then you can just fold it up, put it in your shopping trolley.
Well, yeah, it is true. There are lots of like hurdles to overcome for commuting, and the bike type is not necessarily the main one. Right, Slow Kite 72 also says perfect commuter bike for me. Mud guards, hub dynamo, including LED lights, reflectors, 8-speed internal gear hub with a chain, less power loss on the climb, wide handlebars, hydraulic disc brakes, aluminium or aluminum frame, and wheels that do not have quick releases. They also say they need rear rack, pannier specific commuter tyres. And, space for a laptop as well, maybe in here. They say their bike's quite heavy at 15 kilograms, though.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Anvil Airsoft TV, sort of agreeing with what I've just said here, going, something a lot of people would need to consider is that security element. Where is it being locked up and stored? A nice carbon road bike is going to get nicked and damaged if in public. And he has an old Beta MTB that he used to ride to the shops or the swimming pool.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Also, underneath a cool video that you made, which was 10 years of bike maintenance in 5 minutes. I didn't want to say it the wrong way around. 5 years of bike maintenance knowledge in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
Long video, that. Yeah, still filming it. Yeah. Right. Brian Murray, 8943, says, great advice. I've made a couple of these mistakes over the years. Every time you put these videos out, it saves countless hours of grief for so many of us that have watched them. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and David Damus, 11177, says, Geesh, just buy the Park cable cutters. I've used them so many times, changing shift cables on my bikes, my kids' bikes, my neighbours' bikes, everyone's. Just awesome quality. Had them 7 years, still ticking.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
There was a video I put out, actually, at the weekend.
About your new bike?
About my new bike. I actually got this bike a little while ago, but we didn't put the video out for a while. Anyway. Desiree Deserk says, I have a feeling that GCN presenters change their bikes once a month. No, unfortunately, we don't.
Yeah. I put this in these comments because then Chunky 246 replied on the shilling in it, and then another guy said depends on how often the manufacturer is paying. And I just think it's just worth putting these comments in so we can actually explain to people who don't know. We know a lot of you are familiar, but the way the channel works and the way that we can make it work and so that we can actually make the videos that we do is by having sponsors. We're often very clear about that. But it's very no different to, Mathieu van der Poel riding Canyon and using that. It's like we're sponsored, he's sponsored, he's a lot better than us, but so he gets better bikes than us with like custom paint jobs. Yeah. But it's the same sort of thing, but we're upfront with that. But it's a little bit frustrating because you think people wouldn't go, Van der Poel, there he is, shilling again in the Olympics road race with his Canyon. Yeah, look, I mean, it's like, we don't pretend. There's like valuable sponsors and partners that make this channel possible and enable everyone to watch these videos for free. And if we can talk about products and concepts in a positive way, why the hell not? We all want to encourage more people to ride their bike. I feel like I've got it off my chest now. That's right. Cool. This was like an unexpected rant then. Right. Anyway, let's move on from that onto something far more lighthearted and upbeat. Let's go to the bike vault. Yes, let's do it. This is where you can upload pictures of your bikes. And there's a link to the uploader in the description below. And then we will judge them to be either nice or super nice. If they're super nice, Alex will ring the bell. Yeah, actually, before we dive into the bike vault, I feel like we should acknowledge that Manon is no longer here. Oh, yeah. This was announced last week on the GCN show, but we didn't mention it in the tech show. Thought it was cool to wait till you were back. Oh, thanks, man. So Manon has left.
It's a sad time for us. It's a sad time for the Bike Vault. It's a sad time for the GCN show, and it's sad for everyone else.
Yeah.
But, don't know, just going to have to crack on with the Bike Vault now. Miss you, Manon.
Yeah, miss you, Manon. Love
Right.
you.
Bike Vault, Rich C first with his B-Twin Tri-Band 3, which has done just over 12,000 kilometres on.
Nice.
Not your usual S-Works. In fact, comparatively agricultural, you might say. I like it.
Hay bales. Yeah, I'm going super nice on that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few sort of errors, but I think we can be lenient on that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Super nice.
Big fan of the Tri-Band.
Fee Thomas next. Go
B.
on.
Thomas, cheers, guys. This is my everyday road bike. Bought it used, but in new condition. Nice. Haven't done any major mods to it. It's got basic Shimano pedals, and it has an Apogura top tube pack. Love the colour, classic shape and geometry. Hope you like it.
I love this bike.
And do you know what? Says he waxed his chain.
Oh, love that.
Super nice.
Yeah, super nice.
Wax chain.
Waxed his chain. Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Bjorn V? How do you say that?
I like the way as well. I'm just going to point this out. Sorry. The top tube bag is one that's bolted on.
Yeah.
It's using the little top tube bolts on that bike. Like, not straps.
That's better.
It looks super neat. I like it.
Less rubbish. How would you say this person's name?
Bojan.
Bojan V.
Or Bohan. Or Bojan.
Beautiful ride on Havar Island with their Farlight. Shimano 105 DRT.
I don't know where Havar Island is, but it looks great.
It looks like a place I want to be.
Yeah. That is a really nice bike.
That's a beautiful bike. 105 group set of people.
Oh, I think we can go super nice
105
on that one
DI2,
as well.
not quite, yeah. Oh, yes.
That's a good one, isn't it? Ooh.
Simon, this is their 2023 Basso Diamante, hanging out at the
He's
bottom
at Odd Down.
Odd Down. Local circuits, GCN Mega Base. I actually did a bike race there the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Did you win?
No, but I was in the top 10.
Oh, that's good.
On my retro trek.
Wow.
I was racing a bike against people that are younger than the bike that I was racing.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Repping the 90s bike.
That looks... is that a shadow stand?
Get benefit of the doubt.
I think it's a shadow stand. That's a super nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is a straight run of super nices.
Yeah.
Willard from Be More next. Upgraded the tired Dehon with new Brompton wheels. Oh, this is a folding bike.
Ooh.
So it's been tricked right out. Upgraded adapters, sort of front wheel rubbing on the bottom of the forks, SRAM force brake calipers, 52 tooth chainring, 3-speed Sturmey Archer hub.
Look at the grips.
Look at that.
Look at the grips on that. Do you know what? I mean, normally we'd go, you know, why is that hose pipe in
that
shot?
Hose pipe is coiled incorrectly.
Why is it a jaunty angle? But I think with a folding bike, it just the same rules don't apply. I think we can go super nice.
We haven't applied the rules in any way.
That AliExpress chain ring alone is like
gold chain fist bump.
That is but the gold chain and the massive AliExpress chain ring on there alone. It's just that is a absolute beast.
For a folding bike, it's got a fairly racy looking saddle.
I'd love to commute on that.
Would you actually?
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
All right, fair. Bike Curious Dave with a Officina Batain Portofino. Hope you like it.
Ooh.
The world's longest bike description here. I'm not going to read through this entire thing. Let's look at the pictures and appreciate it.
There's one thing that's instantly caught my eye. It's he's not waxed his chain. His cassette's dirty. That's one thing, but everything else is really good. I like the background as well.
Rustic.
It's rustic, yeah.
Steel bike, steel background.
Yeah, it's like looking into the future. It's like it's an artistic statement, isn't it? It's like this is what this is going to happen to this steel bike if it's left in a
I'll tell you
wet,
what, that
salty
bike
environment.
better not ever go rusty. It's got that, what's it called, the finish, the Chroma Velato.
If he takes care of it, it won't.
Yeah, I absolutely love and adore that bike. It's incredible. Super nice.
There we go. Is
Right,
that it?
That's a straight run of super nices.
God, has this ever happened before?
First time. First time this week, that's for sure. Right, that's enough. That's enough of my absolute crap jokes. The tech show's come to an end this week. The bike battle has come to an end. Same time next week?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, see you later.
Bye.